Hi, you all. Happy Monday. This week for reading, you're going to be listening to the story Crow Boy. But before I get to that, I wanted to quickly go over your morning work. So for Meaningful Monday, the word you're going to be working on is reacted. And the word reacted has the prefix re, which means to do again, and the root word act. So be sure to pay attention to the entire word when you're looking at your answer choices. Remember that synonym means the same and antonym means opposite. So you can just put an S for words that mean the same and an A for antonym for words that mean the opposite. In the paragraph, be sure to pay close attention to the word ignite and to figure out what the wildfire needs in order to do that. For Multiplication Monday, if you've been doing your number corner and paying attention to groups, then this is going to be a review for you. In multiplication, you are looking at repeated numbers over and over again, or repeated addition. And then multiplication is just a form of repeated addition. So instead of saying 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, we say there are 4 groups of 2. So with the apples, pay attention to how many groups you have. A group is just whatever on a plate or whatever is circled. And then the number being repeated is what you would add together each time. So in this case, there are always 2 apples in each group. So if it was repeated addition, you'd be adding 2 together each time. In this word problem here underneath, you're looking at lunch tables. You have 4 groups, 4 lunch tables, and each table has 8 legs. So you're trying to figure out how many legs you have total. For the true and false, you are going to read the word problem. If you agree with what the word problem says, you're going to write true. And if you disagree, you're going to write false. For reading this week, we're still focusing on character traits. However, we're also focusing on feelings and character motivation. So a character trait does not change. In this story, you're going to be hearing about a little boy named Chibi, and it tells a story of a shy Japanese boy who hides at school until a teacher takes notice of him. Now, this little boy, his name's Chibi, he will be shy the entire time throughout the story. That character trait, him being shy, does not really change. However, his feelings throughout the entire story do change, particularly in the beginning, middle, and end. So pay close attention to what happens in the story and how his feelings change and what causes his feelings to change. The 2 important questions I want you to be able to answer after listening to the story is, why did Chibi make his eyes cross? What was he trying not to see? So think about that question before you listen to the story. And then if you're not quite sure, listen to it again. Sometimes if you listen to the story a second time, you can pay closer attention to those specific details. And then the second question, why did the kids cry during Chibi's performance in the talent show? This is at the end of the story. So not only is it important to pay attention to the main character's feelings, but supporting characters also will display feelings that contribute a lot to the story and the meaning behind what is going on. Now, this story was written in 1955, which is 65 years ago, and it received the Caldecott Medal of Honor, That means that it was awarded for its illustrations. This author does a lot of explaining about his characters through illustrations. So be sure to pay attention to the drawings because they will help you infer about the characters in addition to the story itself. On this next slide about inferencing, I recorded a little lesson, so I'm not going to go into extreme detail about it, but just remember what an inference is. It's what the text says plus what you already know in your head, your schema or your background knowledge, and then an inference comes from that. It's what you put together to understand the story better. So on the next slide, there is a sentence or two from the story. And once you read that, think about what's going on, think about what you know about that situation, and then make an inference. So I already did one for you for an example. There was a boy missing. He was found hiding away in a dark space underneath the schoolhouse floor. Nobody knew him. My example, I infer that the boy, Chibi, is very shy and doesn't have any friends at school. So depending on your schema or background knowledge, your inference might be a little bit different, and that's okay. The next thing I really want you to pay attention to is feelings. And I really want you to try to get away from happy, sad, mad. We really want to move away from 3 and 4 letter feelings. So on this little anchor chart, there are a bunch of different feelings, such as lonely, desperate, regretful, embarrassed, shocked, thrilled, abandoned. If you're not sure what those words mean, come up here to Tools and Dictionary, and you can look it up, and it will give you a definition so you have a better understanding. But when you're going to describe Chibi's feelings throughout the story, please try your best to use some new vocabulary. So in the beginning, Chibi, what? Tell me a feeling he has and tell me why. What happened in the story at the beginning that made Chibi feel a certain way? Then something happens. He meets someone. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. How do his feelings begin to change? And then at the end, he does something shocking to all of his classmates. How do his feelings change at the end of the story? And then the last thing that you have to do for reading this week is show your knowledge of the vocabulary used in the story. The words are amuse, trudged, admired, tact, imitate, and honored. Once again, if you don't know the word, go to Tools and Dictionary, type that word in, read the definition a couple times, make sure you have an understanding about it. Another thing I advise you to do is read through the sentences and put the words that you know where they go first and then go back. So I found the first one to be kind of confusing, so I went ahead and went to the second one, and I knew exactly which word went there. So I slid it into its place. Then I went to the third. So skip the ones that you're not so sure about. And then once you've narrowed down your answer choices, it'll be a lot easier to figure out which word goes where. All right, you all have a great Monday.